I have a controversial take this week, guys. War, bad.
That's not how I usually hear it phrased. I usually hear it, as war? Huh? What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again.
Wow!
Welcome, everybody. Another episode of the Info Hazard Podcast Show. I'm your host today, David, joined by my buddies, Dan and Phil. I want to preface this episode by noting that, well, we could get lucky. America's and Israel's air forces quickly eliminated the Ayatollah. And, in Venezuela, we certainly got lucky. And it could happen again. I believe in being aggressive and sort of making your own luck. And that should basically be Donald Trump's slogan: be aggressive, get lucky, or be an idiot, get to be president. There's a minor nuance, though. This philosophy using aggression, you should have some kind of a clue what you're doing.
That's gonna cut out a lot of Trump's tools then, because he doesn't have that one locked down, so you won't be satisfied with anything he does. That's awfully critical of you.
Plus, I've got to say, this war does not feel lucky so far. We started off blowing up a bunch of little school children, and now they just recently said that they're just going to appoint the same guy's son that we just killed, so it was kind of all for nothing.
Well, I mean, the Trump administration did try to deny that they blew up that school full of children, and they said that Iran did it. So,
did they really say that? I thought the last I heard they were saying it was under investigation.
I saw a headline that said Pentagon investigation said it was probably the U.S. and that also Israel and the U.S. had divided Iran into operational areas, and this was in the U.S. operational area.
Yeah, on the New York Times website, they did an analysis and they showed that this school was right next to a Navy base, and the Navy base, every building had been one-shotted, and the school had been one-shotted, and it looks like, probably
they missed and
targeted the wrong building and, sick to your stomach, a building full of schoolgirls, killed 100, 200 of them.
Donald Trump did personally blame Iran.
There you go.
Experts disagree, but this was literally from Trump's mouth. He said it was Iran who did it.
Well, good. More vomit out of that.
That most vomitous of men.
Living avatar of Nurgle.
What is Nurgle?
One of the chaos gods in the Warhammer universe.
Of disease and pestilence.
Yeah. Speaking of disease and pestilence, war bad. Yeah, civilian casualties, right? You just mentioned the school that was hit. Our military casualties, I heard today, recording this on Sunday, March 8th, I heard the 7th American soldier was killed. There's the cost. Right now, we're fighting drones, $50,000 drones with $3 million interceptors. We're shooting them down. A huge waste of resources to be in this conflict.
Spending $1 billion a day is what I heard.
It does minimize U.S. lives lost, right? If you're willing to spend $1 billion a day, you can use the most state-of-the-art countermeasures there are.
The thing is,
to be very expensive.
Right. So it's still worth it. It's worth it to save the targets from being hit, but
it would be worth it if there was a reason to be in this war at all.
Right, but okay, right. So given where you are, given that there's this target with a bomb coming into it, forget how we got here. It's worth it to spend a couple $1 million to stop that. But in the long term, it just points to a trend of us just burning American treasure for this war. All that, and this is still in the air war phase. We're already burning through American treasure to be in Iran, and that's not even us spending the money to do it to achieve some of our stated goals. We're not going to be overthrowing the regime from the sky. All right. So from my co-hosts, I named a couple scenarios, and I'm kind of curious. These all fit under. Sorry, there's one scenario, the ground swelling of democratic fervor scenario, whereby, since we blew up some stuff and killed the leaders, the Iranian people rise to the occasion, cast off their shackles, and replace their theocratic authoritarian government with a liberal democracy. What chance do you give that?
2%?
Yeah, very low. last week we talked about this war, and I think we shared a little bit more optimism for the future of the Iranian people. Now that I've had some time to think about it, I don't think there is like potential good outcome. I think that Trump is lying when he says what he wants is for the Iranian people to rise up and take the government. I think that what he wants is what he wants in every conflict, which is a compliant puppet state and no democratically vigorous party that would take over the government would be acceptable for Donald Trump.
Phil,
Moreover, would not be acceptable to Israel.
I tend to agree with you, and I kind of wanted to walk through some of these scenarios. Right, I think what we just described, ground swelling, is possible. You could get lucky. We could get lucky. It could happen, I guess, but just much more likely seem a slew of really pretty bad scenarios. So I just kind of wanted to go down the list there, and we can try to name the one that I don't have a name for yet, and just see what we think is the most likely. So I think maybe the one, talking about what Israel wants, I think Israel would be happy with what I'm calling the Syria model, the failed state, civil war, famine, possibly atrocities.
I mean, let's be real, definitely atrocities.
Right.
Yeah, like that's kind of their whole shtick in their foreign policy is they do everything in their power to destabilize and cause civil conflict in all of their neighbors.
Sorry, you're saying Iran does or Israel does?
Israel.
I mean, Iran too does, likes to keep their hand in as well.
I think Iran wins that contest. So, I mean, it's kind of an interesting thing how, plausibly destabilizing Iran and turning it into a basket case country might stabilize other parts of the Middle East. Weirdly enough, because they wouldn't be funding Hezbollah and the Houthis and
no, I think Israel is a more destabilizing force in the region. Like they don't have regional allies. They're kind of in a siege mentality with all of their neighbors.
Like getting along well with Saudi Arabia, for example.
I mean, and even if you're not allies, it's different than obviously, they destabilize Iran. I'll give you, they've definitely destabilized Iran.
Jordan and Syria and Lebanon.
Okay, Iran has also...
and Egypt.
Okay, so what have they done recently to destabilize Egypt?
I mean, not recently, but yeah, they're pretty much always at some sort of conflict with their neighbors.
Right, but I mean, some of that has been like a little bit bidirectional, right? Like, I don't know.
Sure.
Like,
I would say they're always in conflict. There's.
Okay, but it's like
back and forth.
Right. So, okay, so who's the worst destabilizer? We can defer to another episode. I think the point that we clearly agree on is that Israel seems to be pursuing what they think of as their interests. They're in some existential conflict against Iran, and they probably would be happy to see the current Iran replaced with a complete basket case failed state scenario, the Syria model.
Yeah, they've been pursuing this model for 40 years, Like they've been trying to get this done basically as long as Netanyahu's been in government. That's been his long-term project, is regime change in Iran, one of his long-term projects.
Okay, so let's talk about some other scenarios. So how likely do you guys think that one is? I'm putting
Civil war?
So 2% is what Danny generously gave to ground swelling of democratic fervor. How about
I mean, this is definitely
failed state?
More likely than the other one. I don't think it's like super likely just because I don't think these airstrikes have been super destabilizing. You can only do so much with like bombing people from the air, especially once they know it's coming.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
So we'll give that a 5%, a 10%?
I'd say like 10% maybe.
All right.
I'd go higher. I'd go like 20.
I think I'm with Phil on this. I think this is a fairly likely scenario here. I only have 5 scenarios also, so it might help.
Should I tell you what I think is the most likely scenario before we get through them, or should I wait till the end and see if it's not there?
Yeah, why don't you wait? I think I know what you think is the most likely scenario. And this is the one that I don't have a name for yet. This is declare victory and leave. Maybe this happens in a month or 2 months when like even Republicans are starting to speak out against Trump on this, and they're ready to pass a big resolution smacking him down over this. But he just says, "We are victorious," and leaves.
Mission accomplished, dude. The reference is right there. That's what we should call it, right? You know, when he goes to the aircraft carrier, stands under the mission accomplished banner and says, "We won, it's over."
Mission accomplished.
Do you think he'd fly out? I don't know. I feel like he'd just throw up the banner at Mar-a-Lago. Just mission accomplished.
These days he'd make an AI video of himself landing on the aircraft carrier.
Dumping poop on the Ayatollahs.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly.
That sounds like the Donald Trump we know and could exist in the same country with.
So, yeah, I mean, when I think about the mission accomplished scenario, part of the problem is that, like, if this happened today or, you know, tomorrow, Iran will rebuild their drone manufacturing. They'll probably activate some of their terrorist cells in the U.S. They'll
be upset.
It just seems like a large step backwards. Like, yeah, killing Khomeini was good.
I mean, the dude was like a zillion years old. You could just wait 20 minutes.
He's now been replaced by his son, Khomeini. So, yeah, this definitely seems like a likely scenario. Sad to say. So, Danny, did I read you right? Is this your...
Yeah, definitely. This has got to be up there. It was 60-70% probably.
This also could overlap with the previous scenario.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Declaring victory and leaving a failed state. Sure, yeah. All right, I'm going to just give this a 50 for now because there are 2 more that I made distinct. And anyway, we'll see. So the next one is what I call the Venezuela model. So you decapitate, which they've already done, but maybe they need to decapitate a few more times until they find someone who they can bribe. And you end up with a corrupt authoritarian state that at least accepts bribes from the U.S. and therefore doesn't do some of the things that the U.S. really doesn't like. And I guess that would mean
Israel, basically
bothering Israel. So, you know, that could be a major de-escalation, you know, getting rid of support for Hamas and Hezbollah and the other proxies, maybe build fewer drones.
I think that is the secret victory condition that the Trump administration is angling for, but it is confounded by, again, Israel's goals in the region, which is to create a failed state. So, like, I don't think it's very likely that this will happen because the U.S. could find someone that they're happy with, but it doesn't stop Israel from continuing to launch missiles at them.
All right. Let's be fair. The last deal with Iran was totally blown up by Trump, dude. Israel didn't have anything to do with that one. Unless you buy into the more sinister Epstein conspiracies, I guess.
Right, yeah.
So I would give this one, I don't know, 10% maybe? I don't think it's that likely. I think any leader that would, like, take bribes and stop the stuff that the U.S. wants them to stop would not be able to sit on top of a Islamic Republic of Iran. I think in order to stay in power, you got to bother Israel at least a certain amount that would be too much for the U.S. to accept.
Yeah, 10% sounds right.
I feel like this is the most likely good scenario. Who's the new president of Venezuela, or the interim? What's her name?
The one that Trump, the U.S. says is the president, or the one who's like actually president?
The one who they are bribing.
I think it's the same person, right? It's not.
Well, because so there's the lady like who the U.S. says won the election is in charge, but she's in exile in the U.S.
No.
The Trump administration didn't say she was the president.
No? Okay. I didn't know how hard they pushed it. But you're talking about the one who's like actually in control of the country.
Yeah, Rodriguez. Delcy Rodriguez.
Well, I mean, I think the official line from Venezuela is that Nicolas Maduro continues to be the president, and she is the interim president.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So Delcy Rodriguez is, I think, the vice president of Venezuela. And at least for now, you know, part of this lucky outcome in Venezuela that hasn't blown up or gone like horribly wrong for the U.S., part of what the model seems to be is have the military bat 1,000 and bribe number 2. And so Delcy Rodriguez, Trump is looking for a Delcy Rodriguez in Iran, and he had a quote a few days back. "Most of the people we had in mind are dead.
How'd that happen?
Right. So very
Shocker.
zealous bombing might have undermined this possible good outcome. And I think that's, yeah, I mean, to Phil's point, like Israel possibly doesn't have much interest in this outcome. And that's shitty behavior from an ally.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Delcy Rodriguez, like, worth noting, probably one of the worst case scenarios for the people of Venezuela, because the oppressive regime stays in power, and also their wealth is getting siphoned off to the U.S.
Well, it's kind of interesting because, like, some political prisoners have been freed there, right? So,
right, but that was the case before.
What do you mean?
Yeah, like the Venezuela was releasing political prisoners as kind of
trying to compromise
ongoing negotiations with the U.S. before the strikes.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely disagree. I mean, I don't think that that's the worst possible outcome, or like, compared to things
I didn't
like
say it was the worst. It's among the worst. The worst is like always
the failed state, civil war,
conflict.
Right. So yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, if you're staring down that scenario, then right. I mean, and then there's also, I think the last scenario is what I'm calling the Afghanistan/Iraq model, or the graveyard of empires model. Slow escalation, 20 years, trillions of dollars, tens of thousands of American lives. How do we feel about that? The likelihood of that scenario?
I don't think it's that likely, because I don't think the U.S. is going to put troops on the ground, right? Like, they just have air assets deployed right now, right? They're not deploying any troops.
Navy, of course.
No, I mean, I wouldn't say it's that unlikely that we put troops on the ground. Like, there have been deployments of combat units to the area, army units, not just like Navy units and Air Force
But have
units.
there been like armies of units? Because you'd need an army to invade it, dude. Iran's a huge country, got a pretty strong military. They're not totally inexperienced because they're always starting shit with people. They fought like an apocalyptic war 30 years ago.
The way I see this playing out is not that we go in like we went in Iraq. It's more of like steady escalation that no one stands up to, nobody stops, no one ever disputes the president's war powers. Maybe it starts with some special forces, or maybe it's a response to
the Vietnam model. Then
maybe
slowly get drawn in and bogged down.
Yeah, right. I guess that is the Vietnam model. Yeah, I can see this happening also.
Yeah, if Trump gets his ego wrapped in then up in the outcome, and he really feels like he needs a certain sort of win.
Yeah, this is like second most likely in my mind. Like,
you think this is more likely than the Venezuelan?
He's looking for every opportunity to declare victory and walk away. But I think that tendency to want to get that client state is he's going to allow himself to get tangled in a escalation ladder that he can't escape.
Right, and I feel like part of the problem, this feels a little trappy to me, because this declare victory and leave scenario is actually really problematic. Like, if we just leave right now, the situation is far worse than it was before we went in.
Donald Trump special, dude.
And so, because that's the case, people can continue to make this case that we can't leave. It's sort of just like what they did in Afghanistan for president after president. Yeah, I mean, hopefully the main thing stopping this is experience of...
Yeah, you say that, but here we are again, dude.
Donald Trump too. Yeah.
Okay, but like, what if he just says, like, in response to all this bad stuff that's happening, no, it isn't, and just lies, and then just moves on, because that's kind of the
invincible counterpoint, dude.
Sure, and his buddies buy CNN, right? That's underway, or that's whatever they're...
CNN, CBS,
the ink is drying, right? They just buy up more media companies. They stop us from reaching our subscribers. YouTube suppresses our irresistible content and holds us down beneath 100 million views, despite the public's yearning for info hazard.
We're not engagement poison. It's the algorithm who's wrong.
Right. Okay, so I'm putting that at 18% so that it sums up to 100.
Damn.
Okay, sure.
Good job, everybody.
I'll do it.
But
we nailed it.
So yeah, to rank those in order, most likely, declare victory and leave, which of course doesn't really say what the state of the country is. Let's say, this happens without much change compared to now, followed by 20% failed state, So we wait until this country is so screwed up, like there's no government, or that we got a real civil war going. Maybe we even fund the civil war. Anyway, we give that one 20%. In third place at 18%, the slow escalation Vietnam model, followed by 10% leave after decapitation and bribe, so the Venezuela model, and at 2% the ground swelling of Democratic.
Not to like throw a wrench into the whole proceeding, but the funny thing about history is that it doesn't end. So there's definitely a scenario where all of these things happen. It'll be
go
like
out a couple 100 years.
The most likely thing I see happening is the declare victory and walk away, followed by continuing problems, and maybe we do get reeled back in. So the Vietnam model and the declare victory and walk away could both happen. I mean, like we constantly bring up the mission accomplished banner on the aircraft carrier because that was like the beginning of that war, right? Declare victory and walk away also is the foreign entanglement scenario.
Right. Declare victory and walk away already happened like 6 months ago. We did it 6 months ago, and now we're back.
It's 100% likely because we did it.
Well, in that case,
we obliterated their nuclear capacity and then used it as justification to invade again. Anyways, it's Schrodinger's nukes. That they're this close, but we destroyed them all. But they could just snap their fingers and be a threat that we eliminated.
Because we're so strong, man. Well, it's been another uplifting, optimistic episode of the InfoHazard podcast show. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and see you again tomorrow.
You know what you should bomb into the ground? Those comments.
You guys are
on
awesome.
Our video, but in a positive way. Say you like us. Give us a thumbs up. Please.
Love us. We're so low.